The First World War, they brought Britain directly into the war. Within a short time, a battle line was drawn between Allied and German armies across Belgium and France. It became known as the Western Front. Britain sustains heavy losses. Unable to cope with the German assault, the Indian soldiers are the first non-British troops to arrive. They're fed piecemeal between Labas and Ypres, and it is here that the 129th Baloch, an infantry regiment, is rushed in. And they are made up of predominantly Muslim sepoys from the frontier, Pakistan-administered frontier, and Pakistan-administered Punjab. The first Indian to receive the Victoria Cross, which is Britain's highest military decoration for valour on the battlefield in the face of the enemy, is someone who belongs to the 129th Baloch. Now, I can't talk much about World War I or II, but I can certainly try and trim it down for you. In terms of casualties, anywhere between 62 to 64,000 fatalities, that is. In terms of injuries, over 100,000. But India's material and financial contributions are just as impressive. £80 million worth of military stores and equipment, 5 million tonnes of wheat valued at over £40 million sent to Great Britain, and much more to that. But the government of India pays for all its troops overseas, adding about £20 million annually to its wartime military expenditure. And before the war is ended, the Viceroy presented a gift of £100 million of imperial tax to Britain. And then they asked us what we did for Britain. But there was one particular ethnic group that was the backbone of the British Indian Army. It was the Punjabi Muslims. And these fellows would once again make that contribution known in World War II. So now let's move on to the Second World War. Germany eventually invades France, and over a period of 6 years, 2.5 million men volunteer for the British Indian Army. Just under a third are Muslim. These are the men, once again, from the Punjab region, all Muslim soldiers, who were dispatched as part of the BEF, the British Expeditionary Force, to France. And they were then held back in Dunkirk. 4 mule companies left. That's 1,400 men in total, of which around 800 were Muslim. But quickly moving on, 3 major battle arenas for the British Indian Army. North Africa. The North African Peninsula is paramount to Britain's war. And a month before the outbreak of war, Indians are deployed to North Africa to defend the Suez Canal in Egypt from Mussolini's troops stationed in Libya. And the 4th Indian Division emerges Britain's best infantry division. That's not me saying that. That's the Commander-in-Chief of the British Forces there, General Montgomery, states that. On that particular day of 11 May 1943, 275,000 Italian and German troops surrender. And there's a wonderful letter written by Harold Alexander to the Prime Minister, Churchill. He says, "Sir, it is my duty to report the Tunisian campaign is over. All enemy resistance has ceased. We are masters of the North African shores." And indeed, the Indians have played a pivotal role in that battle. From my study, 122 boys under the age of 17 fell in Italy. 90 were Muslim. Each one of them, bar one, were from cities now in Pakistan. The major areas were Attock, 15, Kohat, 21, and then Rawalpindi, which is obviously Punjab again at 23. And it really does make you think, or perhaps question, why so many young men? Well, between 1940 and 1942, there was a dip in enlistment amongst the Sikh and the Hindu community, for which reason Britain was now ever reliant, or even more reliant, on the Punjabi Muslims and the men of the frontier. And this is why they came to help out. This is why they fought. After World War II and partition, Pakistan itself takes in or absorbs a disproportionately large aspect of the British Indian Army, for which reason it seems to default to military rule, whereas India absorbs the Indian civil service and a disproportionately large aspect of the Indian civil service, for which reason it seems to always function best as a political administration, has not really had military ruler or junta in that case.